Good morning, everybody. How are you? Saturday, 24th of May. Hot and cloudy, humid, maybe some rain today. Some interesting things I've noticed in what's going on in the world today, trying to pick one out. First thing, let's just discuss this. The Knicks lost. And there's a lot of criticism coming at the coach. I didn't see the game. I was at a party last night. They don't do Sweet 16s down here. They do it at 15 for the young ladies. And it's a big to-do, a lot of formality. This one was, I've been to a couple of them, and this one was more formal than any of the others I'd been at until, the end of it when it got... people started partying. But it's very, very nice, very pleasant evening. Of course, I can't move my back today, but that's all right. That has nothing to do with the party. The party was very good. People were very nice to me, and I had a good time. Of course, we got lost on the way, so I started out in a bad mood, but I got rid of that right away. Now, it would appear that Trump is trying to push the United States to a combination of Nazi or fascism and APARTHEID, the South African APARTHEID, He's very much a racist, and, I knew he wasn't a nice guy to begin with, but he's becoming an extreme racist right now, and I have to read an article about what he wants to do to Bruce Springsteen for standing up against him. So he doesn't like it when somebody says to him, "You're an asshole," or "You're corrupt," or anything like that, And really, he's got a point to a certain degree. If you're going to go after the president in the United States and call him corrupt, you have to have undeniable proof, and you should charge him, and you should try to impeach him or whatever else you can do to him, I could never be in a courtroom with that man or anywhere else on this planet where there's less than a mile between us. Well, you know what I'm saying. Because if I have the opportunity, I'm going to beat the shit out of him. Because I just can't stomach that little smirk on his face, It really pisses me off. And I'm sure it does a lot of other people, too. But he just makes faces at you like you're useless, There's nothing you can do about it. I'm the bad. I am the president. Yeah. Well, you won't be in 3 years, assuming you make it 3 years. The part that doesn't, well, it surprises me and it doesn't surprise me. I know a lot of people that were in businesses with me. When we say business, we worked in restaurants and whatnot. And we worked with black busboys. We played softball with black busboys. We were, and black waitresses and what have you, cooks and everything like that, as well as Latinos and Chinese people in the restaurant industry. I worked with all those nationalities, and I honestly got along with a lot of them, and I had thought of some of them as being friends of mine, And then I noticed some of them, the white ones, they all of a sudden they don't really care for the black people or what have you, It's not a black person, it's a nigger, And I don't. I have used that term, and I stopped using that term because, it became very derogatory. But I used to use it because the kids in high school, the black kids, used to call each other that. And some comedians always did the routine like that. And I thought it was funny. I thought it was humorous that you could make fun of yourselves. And then I realized that they realized that they were doing damage to themselves, and they stopped. So I stopped using the language, Why do I want to do that? I'm not out to hurt anybody that way. except Donald Trump, you know. Verbally assaulting him is just something I love to do during the day, you know. But you know how apartheid worked, all right? There was a white minority that controlled the country, and it wasn't, there was, black people could get thrown in jail for just about anything, walking on the wrong side of the street, you know, until they started to fight back, till they started an uprising, until they got to a point where, and now they go back and now they think they're entitled to things. Now nobody went out and ripped all their land away, you know. Mandela stopped that, because he wanted the country to survive. He wanted everybody to get along. But now I think that it's necessary that they, if the white people want to keep that, you know, be part of it, it's fine. If they don't, move, leave. But don't come here and bring your friggin' politics with you, like the Trump did with the 25 that he brought back into the United States, you know. Self-rule? Where? Not in South Africa. I give them a little island someplace and they can self-rule themselves till the cows come home, you know. All right. And the other thing that's coming up, and it's very noticeable if you read the news or if you have a lot of friends that you could talk to, is that you remember the Black Lives Matter movement. Well, as you can tell, they've removed that from the square in Chicago. So what I'm telling you now is Black lives don't matter anymore. Again, you know, we're going back to the we're going back to the 50s and earlier than that, with, you know, segregation, all that's going on, you know. And, you know, my mom wasn't, you know, I don't know how to explain this. My mom had a lot of black friends, but she wasn't gonna, I don't think she would have run around spouting Black Lives Matter stuff. I'm not sure. We never really talked about a lot of it. We just led our lives, you know, liked who we liked. But the thing that she said to me, and she said, the one thing that the people that don't understand is we cannot survive by ourselves. And apartheid proved that in South Africa. You cannot survive alone, okay? You can't run the country with an all-white government. You can't run the country with an all-black government. You can't come into this country and say we're going to be an all-white government, no Muslims, what have you. That's just not, it's not going to happen. It's not something that makes sense. It's not something that's practical. You know, it's just something that people want, you know, or think they want. I don't know, you know. But it's not that surprising to me that there's these people that are supporting Trump and his racism. That's why they're supporting him. Because there's a great many people for a long time, you know, that blamed everything on the Equal Rights Amendment and everything else, and said it's like you're saying the Latinos are taking my job. Well, the black people are taking my job. Well, at the time, it was the same thing. They did the same jobs that the Latinos did. You know, they weren't overly paid people. They worked for minimum wage or less just to have a job. Why do you think there's so many young kids in school become drug dealers? Because they can work a day and make more than they would in 2 months or a year sometimes in a Burger King or McDonald's or someplace like that. You know, I don't care if you pay them $25 an hour. They're not going to get 40 hours worth of work either. So, you know, that's just it. When you start paying exuberant wages to people, they demand that you do your job in 40 hours or less, you know? And they would rather hire 6 part-time people than 1 full-time person, because they don't have to pay the part-time people all the benefits. You know, it's like what AT&T did. when they were having labor problems. They fired everybody, laid them all off, and then hired them back as private contractors. They saved something in the neighborhood of $2 billion at the time, and this is going back into the 70s. About $2 billion at that time in health benefits because they didn't pay their contractors health benefits. Contractors were so they paid them a little bit more salary, or whatever the deal was. And when the job was done, they had to reapply and accept a salary for that job. That happens to be from a business standpoint, it's an excellent program. From a humanity point of view, I don't think it is, but it does. Keeps the people working and they're doing all right, and it just puts a lot of onus on the people to find their own health insurance, to find their own benefit packages, do the retirement thing and everything else, and it saves the companies billions of dollars. So that's what they did back then, and I don't know what they're doing now. They're just firing people, and I don't understand it. I don't know what these people do if they go to unemployment and whatnot. You're just creating a problem that's. You're probably doing the same thing in the U.S. government. They're probably hiring these people back as private contractors. And they don't have to pay their benefit, they don't have to pay pension, they don't have to contribute to the pension. And I'm not sure about Social Security. So it's one of those things, you just have to wait and see how it plays out. Donald Trump's making too much money off of this presidency, and I don't wish to wish evil on people, because that always comes back at you, And personally, I got to tell you, I have enough problems. I don't need any bad karma coming my way. So, but I do wish this man to fail. Hope he fails in the end. So, because I have no love for that guy at all. As a human being, as a president, or as anything, I have no respect for him as a human being or president either. So we'll have to. But we'll just wait to see there. Okay. Another thing that's coming up. My favorite thing is AI as artificial intelligence is going to be part of the destruction of the world, never mind the United States. So Musk is hooking up Stargate with AI. That's going to cause that. What was the name of the thing? Did they call it Stargate? No, they called it something Sky, I think, in the Terminator movie. I mean, this is what he wants to do, and you're giving the ability of AI to control things, like the planet, And it's not some great secret that I'm exposing, but AI does not have empathy. That's not an emotion that can be taught, apparently. And AI doesn't think is basically a pure logic system. And AI, when you're a pure logic system, you don't see the maybes. It's either this or that, black or white. And like I said, scientists have shown that the greatest threat to the world is humanity. So I don't know what's going to happen there with that. But it's not something I'm making up, and it's not something that they want to admit to, But first of all, you when you create even if you got it to think like a human being, it would think 100 times faster than you. All right? And we use computers to answer questions now. And do you see a computer saying, well, maybe? No, they don't. And if you do this with a certain political leaning, you're taking away you're making their thinking process absolute. In other words, they have no wiggle room at all. Not even in programming. They'll be programming it. And once they start to program themselves, we're screwed. You know? They call it enlightenment. They call it, I forget what they call it. Coming aware. I don't know. You know? It's just AIism. And Hawkins said this. He said it's probably the greatest threat to humanity that could possibly exist. Now, and AI would, that's coming from a man that AI would allow to have his brain, it would eventually sometime or another have his brain planted in a machine or something, you know, which I think was what Trump's hoping for, you know, that and then he can rule the world forever, but that won't happen. Well, first, they won't put a diseased brain into a android or android, right? Yeah. Is that what they call it? Yeah. Or a clone or anything else, you know, because they don't want, it's not going to cure itself, you know. It's still going to be diseased. So, and you know, his brain is diseased. His thinking processes don't make sense. All right. That's it for me, I think. You know. I hope you're all well, physically and mentally. I hope you people have the idea that, you know, we'll stop being complacent about the crap he's pulling and start doing something about it. And I know you can't, he's probably not going to listen to public opinion, but the rest of the Republican Party might, especially when you have an election coming up next year. So it is possible to institute, to stop him, you know, so that would be the way to do it before the election, because he's going to try to stop that election. All right, I'm not sure how he's going to do it. Martial law would be the most common way to do it. All right, listen, do me a favor, pop that subscribe button for me, you know, down the bottom of the page, underneath the video there. It just, I'm not going to make any money in this. It's the amount of people I need to subscribe is going to take me too long to get there, since I don't do a lot of promos and stuff like that. But I am asking you to please take a look at it and subscribe, and it doesn't cost you anything. Maybe you'll get some email you don't want, but you know, we all get emails we don't want. Mine come from bill collectors. But, you know, if you also get a chance, comment on it, you know, and say, hey, stupid, you know, hey, you dumbass. It's okay. I can take it, you know. I've got a very thick skin, unfortunately. All right. I'll say, so take it easy, and I won't see you tomorrow, but I will see you Monday morning. All right. Take care.